Have you ever tried to sleep, but your brain suddenly starts replaying every mistake you've ever made? That awkward conversation from 3 years ago, that decision you might regret tomorrow. And somehow, your mind just won't stop. That's not random, it's overthinking, and your brain actually believes it's helping you. Overthinking feels like thinking harder, but in reality, it's your brain running in circles. You analyze every possibility, every outcome, every mistake. You replay conversations, you imagine future problems. And the strange part is, the more you think, the less clear everything becomes. Psychologists say overthinking is not a thinking problem, it's a control problem. Your brain wants certainty in an uncertain world, so it keeps thinking, hoping the next thought will finally solve everything. But it rarely does. Psychological insight number 1. Your brain hates uncertainty. The human brain is designed to predict danger. Thousands of years ago, this helped humans survive. If our ancestors ignored possible threats, they wouldn't last very long. So today, your brain still scans for problems, even when none exist. That's why before a small decision, like sending a message, your brain suddenly asks, "Did that sound weird? What if they misunderstand it? What if this ruins everything?" The brain believes more thinking equals more safety, but sometimes it just creates more fear. Psychological insight number 2, the illusion of control. Overthinking creates a powerful illusion. It makes you feel like you're doing something productive. You feel like you're preparing for every possibility. But in reality, you're just mentally rehearsing problems that may never happen. Imagine someone preparing for a job interview. Instead of practicing answers, they spend hours thinking, what if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I embarrass myself? The brain believes this is preparation, but it's actually mental paralysis. Psychological insight number 3, your brain's negative bias. Your brain remembers negative experiences far more strongly than positive ones. Psychologists call this negative bias. One small mistake can stay in your mind for years, but compliments, they disappear in minutes. So when you overthink, your brain automatically searches for the worst possibilities. You might send a normal message, but your mind imagines the other person being angry, disappointed, or judging you, even if none of that is happening. Psychological insight number 4, overthinking feeds anxiety. Overthinking and anxiety are like a loop. The more you think, the more anxious you feel, and the more anxious you feel, the more your brain starts thinking. For example, you lie in bed thinking about tomorrow's meeting. Your brain imagines failure. Your body reacts with stress. Your heart beats faster. Now your brain thinks something must be wrong, so it keeps analyzing the situation again, and the loop continues. Psychological insight number 5. Your brain confuses thinking with solving. Thinking is useful, but overthinking tricks your brain into believing that thinking longer means solving faster. Imagine trying to untangle headphones. If you pull harder and harder, the knots actually get worse. The same thing happens with your thoughts. Sometimes the solution is not more thinking, it's stepping away. Real-life examples. Think about the last time you sent a message and then stared at your phone waiting for a reply. Minutes pass. Your brain begins creating stories. Why haven't they replied? Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? But hours later, you realize they were just busy. Or think about making a simple decision, choosing a career path, starting a project, talking to someone you like. You spend days, sometimes weeks thinking about it. Meanwhile, someone else simply takes action and learns along the way. Here's the strange truth about overthinking. Your brain believes it's protecting you, but sometimes it's the very thing holding you back. Because life isn't solved through perfect thinking, it's solved through imperfect action. And the people who move forward in life are not the ones with the clearest answers. They're the ones who eventually say, enough thinking, and take the next step anyway. So, tonight, when your mind starts replaying everything again, ask yourself one question. Is this thought helping me, or is it just another loop? Have you ever noticed something strange? Someone who used to talk to you every day suddenly becomes distant. They reply late, they avoid conversations. And sometimes, they completely disappear. So what really happens? Why do people suddenly start ignoring you? Psychology actually has some surprising answers. Part 1. The familiarity effect. One reason is something called the familiarity effect. At the beginning of any connection, everything feels exciting. New conversations, new interactions, new emotions. But as time passes, the brain slowly gets used to that person. And when something becomes too familiar, the brain stops releasing the same level of excitement. This doesn't always mean the person dislikes you. Sometimes the brain simply stops feeling the novelty it once did. And when excitement fades, attention can fade too. Part 2. The power balance. Another psychological reason is related to power dynamics. In social psychology, attention is a form of power. When someone realizes that you are always available, always replying instantly, always initiating conversations, they may begin to step back. Not necessarily because they hate you, but because distance can create control. When someone gives less attention, it often makes the other person chase more. And suddenly, the balance of attention changes. Part 3. Emotional overload. Sometimes the reason is much simpler. People ignore others when they feel emotionally overwhelmed. Stress, work pressure, personal problems, or mental exhaustion can make someone withdraw from communication. Instead of explaining everything, they choose silence. Because explaining emotions requires energy. And when someone feels mentally drained, silence feels easier. Unfortunately, the person being ignored often thinks they did something wrong, even when the real reason has nothing to do with them. Part 4. Loss of emotional interest. Another possibility is emotional detachment. Human feelings change more often than people admit. Someone who once felt strong interest may slowly lose that emotional connection. But many people avoid direct confrontation. So instead of saying their feelings have changed, they reduce communication little by little. Less messages, less effort, less attention, until the distance becomes obvious. Final insight. Psychology shows that silence is rarely meaningful. Sometimes it reflects changing emotions. Sometimes it reveals hidden power dynamics. And sometimes it simply shows that someone is going through their own struggles. But one important thing to remember is this. Being ignored doesn't always mean you are the problem. Often it simply means the situation or the connection has changed. Have you ever noticed that some people can make you say yes without you even realizing it? Or have you ever bought something just because it said, "Only 2 pieces left"? The truth is, people play small psychological games with your mind every single day. And the most dangerous part? You don't even notice it happening. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 psychology tricks people use on you, and by the end, you'll be aware enough that no one can easily manipulate you again.
Come on.
Let's get started. 1. Foot in the door technique. This trick is simple, but very powerful. First, someone asks you for a very small favor. Something like, "Hey, can you help me with something really quick?" It feels harmless, so you say yes. Then later, they come back with a much bigger request. And because you already said yes before, it feels awkward to say no now. Salespeople use this, NGOs use this, even friends use this. How to protect yourself? Treat every request as a separate decision. Just because you said yes once doesn't mean you owe them another yes. 2. The scarcity effect. Only 2 seats left. Limited time offer. Sale ending tonight. The moment something feels limited, your brain switches into panic mode. You feel like you might miss out. And when we're afraid of missing out, we stop thinking logically. We just act. But here's the truth. Sometimes that scarcity is completely fake. It's designed to create urgency, not value. Before buying, pause and ask yourself, do I really need this, or am I just afraid of missing out? 3. The halo effect. If someone is good-looking, confident, or well-dressed, we automatically assume they're smart, capable, and trustworthy. That's the halo effect. One positive quality makes us believe all their other qualities are positive too. This is why celebrities can sell almost anything. We trust them, even if they're not experts. Always judge skills and character separately. Don't let appearance control your decisions. 4. Gaslighting. This one is dangerous. Gaslighting is when someone makes you doubt your own memory, your own reality. They might say, "You're remembering it wrong. That never happened. You're overthinking." Over time, you start questioning yourself. You lose confidence in your own judgment, and that gives them control. If something feels off, trust your instincts. Write things down. Keep records. Stay grounded in facts. 5. Reciprocity rule. If someone gives you a gift, buys you lunch, or does you a favor, you automatically feel like you owe them something. That's human psychology. We're wired to return kindness. That's why stores give free samples, because once you receive something, you feel subtle pressure to give something back. Remember, a gift is a gift, not a contract. You're not obligated to return favors you didn't ask for. 6. Social proof. If 100 people are doing something, your brain assumes it must be the right thing to do. That's social proof. That's why websites show 10 million users trust us. That's why restaurants buy fake reviews. We follow the crowd because it feels safe. But the crowd isn't always right. Before following others, ask yourself, is this right for me? 7. Silence pressure. Have you ever experienced this? You say something, and the other person just stays silent. No reaction, no response, just silence. That silence feels uncomfortable, so you start talking more, you explain more. Sometimes you even weaken your own position. Negotiators use this trick all the time. The next time someone stays silent, stay calm. Don't rush to fill the space. Silence is only powerful if you're afraid of it. Now you know the psychological tricks people use every day. From this moment on, before making any decision, pause for 1 second and ask yourself, am I choosing this freely, or is someone subtly pushing me? Awareness is power. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused or strangely guilty? Like something wasn't right, but you couldn't explain why? Sometimes, people don't try to control you directly. They control how you think. And the scariest part is, you might not even notice it happening. Manipulation doesn't always look aggressive. Most manipulators don't shout, threaten, or argue loudly. In fact, the most effective manipulators appear calm, friendly, and reasonable. They slowly influence your emotions, your decisions, and even your beliefs. Psychologically, this works because humans have emotional triggers. We want to be liked, we avoid conflict, and we feel guilty when others seem hurt. A skilled manipulator understands these instincts and quietly uses them to control the situation. Here are 7 signs someone might be secretly manipulating you. Sign 1. They make you doubt yourself. One common tactic is making you question your own memory. You remember something clearly, but they say, that never happened. You're imagining things. You're overreacting. At first, it feels like a misunderstanding, but over time, you start doubting your own perception. Psychologists call this gaslighting, and once someone controls what you believe about reality, they gain control over the entire conversation. Sign 2. They use guilt as a weapon. Manipulators rarely demand things directly. Instead, they make you feel guilty. They might say something like, "I guess I'll just do it myself, like always," or "I didn't expect you to abandon me like that." Suddenly, the situation changes. You're no longer making a choice. You're trying to escape the guilt they created. And that's exactly what they want. Sign 3. They always play the victim. Another sign is constant victim behavior. Whenever something goes wrong, they become the one who's hurt. Nothing is ever their fault. If you confront them, they suddenly look sad, disappointed, or emotionally wounded. Now the conversation shifts. Instead of solving the problem, you start feeling bad for even bringing it up, and the manipulation continues. Sign 4. They create emotional confusion. Manipulators often send mixed signals. One day they praise you, the next day they criticize you. One moment they're warm and supportive, the next moment distant and cold. This emotional inconsistency creates confusion. Your brain starts searching for their approval. You begin asking yourself, "What did I do wrong?" And without realizing it, you start adjusting your behavior just to please them. Sign 5. They rush your decisions. Manipulators also create urgency. They might say, "You need to decide right now," or "If you cared, you wouldn't hesitate." But real decisions need time. Manipulators rush you because clear thinking breaks their control. When you feel pressured, your brain reacts emotionally instead of logically, and emotional decisions are much easier to manipulate. Think about a friend who constantly reminds you of favors they did for you, a partner who says you're too sensitive whenever you express your feelings, or a coworker who always creates last-minute pressure, forcing you to agree quickly. At first, these moments seem small, but over time, they slowly shape how you think and how you react. That's how manipulation grows quietly. Sign 6. They twist your words. Manipulators often twist what you say. You explain something clearly, but somehow they change the meaning of your words. For example, you say, "I just needed some time to think," and they reply, "So now you're saying you don't care about me." Suddenly, the conversation becomes something completely different. Now you're forced to defend yourself instead of discussing the real issue. This tactic creates confusion and slowly shifts the blame onto you. Sign 7. They make you responsible for their emotions. Another subtle sign of manipulation is emotional responsibility. Manipulators make you feel like their happiness depends entirely on you. They might say things like, "You're the reason I feel this way," or "If you really cared, you wouldn't do that." At first, this sounds emotional and sincere, but over time, it becomes a trap, because now every decision you make feels like it could hurt them. And when you feel responsible for someone's emotions, they gain control over your choices. The truth is, manipulation rarely looks obvious. It hides inside guilt, confusion, and self-doubt. But once you start recognizing these patterns, everything changes. You begin to see the hidden dynamics behind conversations. And when you understand manipulation, people lose the power to control your mind. Because awareness is the strongest protection you can have. Have you ever noticed something strange? Someone can be very interested in you today, texting first, calling often, showing excitement, and then suddenly they become cold, distant, and almost disappear. What changed? The truth is, interest doesn't disappear randomly. Psychology explains exactly why it fades so quickly. Human attention is fragile. Our brains are constantly searching for something new, something exciting, something rewarding. And the moment the brain feels that a situation is predictable, repetitive, or emotionally flat, interest begins to fade. Not always because the person is bad, not always because something went wrong. Sometimes it's simply how the human mind works. Psychological insight number 1. The novelty effect. The brain loves newness. Psychologists call this the novelty effect. When something is new, a new person, a new idea, a new experience, the brain releases dopamine, the chemical linked to excitement and curiosity. That's why at the beginning of friendships, relationships, or even hobbies, everything feels intense and exciting. But once the brain becomes familiar with the pattern, the dopamine slowly decreases. And suddenly, the same thing that felt exciting before now feels normal. Psychological insight number 2. Predictability kills curiosity. The human brain is naturally curious, but curiosity only exists when there is uncertainty. If someone becomes too predictable, always replying the same way, always behaving the same way, always available, the brain stops asking questions. And when curiosity disappears, interest slowly fades. Mystery is often more powerful than constant availability. Psychological insight number 3. The effort principle. Humans tend to value things they work for. It's a strange psychological bias. When something is too easy to get, the brain subconsciously assumes it has less value. This is why people often lose interest in things that once felt important, not because the thing changed, but because the effort disappeared. Psychological insight number 4. Emotional stimulation. Interest is strongly connected to emotions. The brain remembers experiences that make it feel something: excitement, challenge, surprise, curiosity. But when interactions become emotionally flat, just routine conversations, same topics, same responses, the brain slowly stops paying attention, because emotionally, nothing new is happening. Psychological insight number 5. The paradox of too much availability. There is a psychological paradox many people don't realize. The more constantly available someone becomes, the less psychologically valuable they sometimes appear. Not because availability is bad, but because scarcity naturally increases perceived importance. When something is always there, the brain stops treating it as special. Real-life examples. Think about a new phone you once bought. At first, you checked it constantly, explored every feature, showed it to everyone. But after a few months, it became just another phone. Or think about a new friendship. In the beginning, conversations last for hours. You're curious about everything. But over time, if nothing evolves, nothing surprises, nothing challenges, the excitement slowly fades. Not suddenly, but quietly. So when someone loses interest, it's not always because something went wrong. Sometimes the brain simply stopped feeling curious, challenged, or stimulated. Because interest is not sustained by constant presence, it's sustained by emotion, curiosity, and change. And maybe the real question isn't, why did they lose interest? Maybe the real question is, what keeps the human mind interested in the first place? Have you ever noticed something strange? The quietest person in the room is often the one who understands everything. While others talk non-stop, they simply watch. And somehow, they always seem one step ahead. So why does silence often hide intelligence? In most social situations, the loudest voices get the attention. The person who talks the most is often seen as the most confident, the most social, the most knowledgeable. But psychology suggests something very different. Many highly intelligent people are not loud. They don't dominate conversations. They don't feel the need to prove themselves. Instead, they observe. Because real intelligence isn't always about speaking more. Sometimes it's about understanding more. Point 1. They observe more than they speak. Quiet people spend less time talking and more time watching and listening. While others are busy explaining their opinions, quiet individuals are collecting information. They notice small details in body language. They pay attention to tone of voice. They observe how people behave in different situations. This gives them a bigger picture of what's really happening. Imagine a meeting where everyone is arguing. One person stays silent the entire time, but when they finally speak, their single comment solves the entire problem because they were listening to everything. Point 2. Their brain is busy processing. Silence doesn't mean the mind is empty. Often it means the mind is working harder. Psychology shows that quiet individuals often process information more deeply. Instead of reacting instantly, they analyze. They consider different possibilities. They think about consequences. They connect ideas. This deeper thinking leads to better decisions. While others respond quickly, quiet thinkers respond carefully. Point 3. They avoid unnecessary attention. Highly intelligent people often don't feel the need to prove how smart they are. Many actually prefer to stay in the background because drawing attention to yourself can create conflict, competition, or pressure. Quiet individuals understand something important. You don't need to announce intelligence. You only need to use it when necessary. That's why in many conversations, they stay silent for a long time, but when they finally speak, people suddenly start listening. Point 4. They think before they speak. Many people talk first and think later. Quiet people do the opposite. Before they say something, they ask themselves, is this useful? Is this accurate? Is this necessary? This simple habit prevents them from saying things they might regret, and it makes their words much more meaningful. When someone rarely speaks, every sentence carries more weight. Point 5. Silence gives them social awareness. Quiet individuals often develop stronger social awareness because they spend more time observing conversations than dominating them. They notice who feels uncomfortable, who is hiding something, who is pretending to agree. Over time, this creates a powerful ability to read people. While others focus on being heard, quiet people focus on understanding others, and that skill is incredibly powerful. Real-life example. Think about a classroom. One student constantly raises their hand, answering every question. Another student sits quietly in the back. They rarely speak. But during the exam, the quiet student scores the highest. Not because they were louder, but because they were thinking the entire time. Or imagine a workplace meeting. Everyone is throwing out ideas quickly. One person stays silent. Then they calmly point out a solution no one else noticed. Suddenly, the entire room becomes quiet, because sometimes the quietest mind is the sharpest one. So the next time you meet someone who doesn't talk much, don't assume they have nothing to say. They might simply be watching, listening, understanding. Because intelligence doesn't always make noise. Sometimes the smartest person in the room is the one who speaks the least. And the real question is, in a world full of people trying to be heard, who is actually paying attention? Understanding human psychology helps you see people more clearly, and the more you understand human behavior, the harder it becomes for others to confuse you or manipulate you. If you enjoy learning about psychology and hidden human behaviors, subscribe to Type Psycho for more insights into the human mind.